All right. Well, hello, everybody. Hey, Joint Hair and Carolyn and Johnny, can you guys hear me okay? Everybody seeing this? I'm using a new software tonight. Oh, there we go. It is over on YouTube, which is pretty cool. All right, give me just a second, guys. I want to make sure that we are. All right, I'm going to post this on Freesteading real quick.
All right, I'm posting it on Facebook.
Take two.
We are going to be bringing you guys some really amazing stuff tonight. You are going to really love it. Let's see.
All right, Tia, let me know when you're ready to roll.
I am ready to roll.
All right,
well, ready.
Hey, everybody. Good evening. I know I don't typically do Monday lives, but I had an opportunity to sit here and visit with Tia a little bit. And, Tia's mission is a mission after my heart, which is what actually connected us, which I think is pretty cool. And so we'll let her talk about that. See, better resolution on YouTube than StreamYard. Okay, good to know. Should hit the Fan Fitness. Hey, what's going on? Grateful Hearts, hello. Joseph, hello. Join Hair, hello. Johnny, hello. Jules, hello. Carolyn, hello. Arthur, hello. Make sure I get everybody here. Anyway, so her mission is after my heart in creating parallel societies and finding a way, to kind of take our, our living back. I was going to say our country, but it's really more than that. Really just kind of taking our lives back. So Half Bubble Off Plum, the best name on internet. Hello, welcome to you. Simpler Times Homestead, hello. Songs of Joy, hello, and happy Monday to you.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Hey, Junk and Jody, what's going on? Yeah. Pack Rat, hello. Horse Mountain Range Mountain Farm, hello. These are all Tia. These are all elders here in this community. So I know all of them. But anyway,
good to meet you, everybody. You need to come and see us in person in Beaufort, Georgia, at the Next Steps conference, because it's one thing to be sitting at home watching live streams, chatting in the chat box and that kind of stuff. But it's much more, it's so amazing getting together in person and, hugging and talking to each other face to face, no masks, just, connecting on a real, level, like person to person in a community kind of set. Like what we're trying to do is Next Steps is focused on building the parallel society. So many of us are trying to figure out how we're going to survive, like what's coming, right? But we're not going to make it as islands. So we need to come together and form communities and be supporting each other in ways that, we're productive, we're building something, we're focusing on solutions instead of just sitting around complaining about the problem. We're working on how are we going to fix this? How are we going to make the world the world we want to live in?
Yeah. So 8 Right Acres, hello. One More Rock, hello. Tia, I say hello to everybody if I can.
I see that.
Eternal Homestead, hello. And Easy, hello. So Tia, why don't you tell us a little bit about what got you here? Tell us a little bit about your journey, and we'll get to the convention and we'll talk about the details, but tell us how you got here.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I'm a mom. I have 2 beautiful children. One is 32 and the other is 16. When my 16-year-old was 2 years old, we found out that he was on the autism spectrum. We later found out that my oldest child is also on the autism spectrum, but was missed during the younger years. So that kind of sent me down the rabbit hole of researching, anything and everything that could have possibly contributed to my son's condition. And also, what could be done to recover him, to help him so that he could have, the best life possible for him. And so one of the suspects early on was the vaccines. I can't say for sure that that's what caused his autism, because he was very young when he got the ones that he got. And I certainly have examined everything from food to household items to my own personal physical condition. But that was one thing that did kind of always stick out as a potential something happened, you know. And so I'm going to try and be careful, because I know that YouTube has these things called community standards, and they don't like you talking about these kinds of things. They don't like us talking about anything freedom, right? But anything that goes against the narrative of what they want the public to follow. So I'm trying to be really careful. But back in 2016, a documentary film came out about a whistleblower at the CDC. I was very involved in helping that movie to be a success across the country. That movie was called Vaxxed. And that's what kind of started me into journalism. So I was doing live reporting of events and interviews. And then in 2017, I sort of looked around and said, you know, we really need to be looking at solutions. Mm-hmm. And so I had my first event, which was called Next Steps to Health Freedom. And we had workshops on homeschooling. Should you fire your pediatrician was one of the workshops, community building, things like that, how to be an effective activist. And then in 2019, the sequel to that movie, Vaxxed, came out. And I had been pretty involved with the filmmakers. So I have associate producer credits on Vaxxed 2. We helped get that movie launched. And right after that, we had the pandemic. That kind of shut everything down for a couple of years. And then last June, we held another conference, because again, I'm looking around and I'm like, people need to be motivated, educated, inspired, and they need to have solutions. So we put together another conference last June, which was 2 days. We had 7 workshops, legislative action, legal update, community building, wake up the church, real science, real medicine. We were really successful at bringing a group of people together that were excited about learning. And I know that a lot of people who came to the June conference have already taken some of what they learned at that conference and put it into action. So I've been doing journalism since probably about 2016, 2017. I had a show called The People's Truth with Tia Severino on UI Media for 2.5 years. And I'm now with Children's Health Defense. I do the second Monday of every month on Good Morning CHD, which you can get to by going to children'shealthdefense.org. Children's Health Defense is building a whole news media platform. They have all kinds of shows on there. So amazing stuff. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Tia, I think it's exciting. And, I'm proud of you that you would take a stand and, try to take some of this back, because it's hard. This is none of this is easy. And you got to have, kind of a pretty tough stomach, to kind of fight your way through that. I mean, you do, and I know, because I live it every single day. So real quick, let's get to the convention, and then we'll circle back around. So let's, you want to just give a broad overview of the convention, and then we'll just take each day and talk about them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So one of the things that I've realized over the last year as I'm looking around is that we have got to build the parallel society. I mean, we've got to create the structures for all of these systems that are broken, right? So we have a broken healthcare system. We have a broken science, like the institutions of science have been corrupted. I mean, what they're masquerading as science is propaganda and fraud. It's contrived, controlled studies that they don't have the gold standard, like vaccine studies are not done with real placebos. They're done using either another vaccine or the background substance that's in the vaccine. So all the adjuvants minus the antigen. And there's no observation of those, the control group, which would be the group that didn't get any, right? So we're not doing that with the vaccine science. And it's not just that area of science that is manipulated. There's, I mean, I could speak to 100 other different like areas where science is being bought by the corporations that want the science done. The funding for the science is what dictates what science gets done, right? But so I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. What I'm trying to say is that there's still good scientists. There's still great people who are doing, that want to do good science. They want to do the real studies. They want to do it right. We have natural healers who might argue that they've been doing the right thing the whole time, right? We have doctors who are trying to create the alternative medical systems. We have nurses that are trying to build these systems. We have journalists who are realizing the problems with mainstream media, and they're stepping away and they're starting their own media organizations. People like Ben Swan, who used to be with CBS, was a great anchor here in Atlanta. They tried to get him to shut down his social media and stop talking about certain things. And he said, no, thank you. Started his own media organization and social media apps. So we have some amazing people that are like stepping up, standing, trying to create other, like what we have with Children's Health Defense, what we have with other media organizations that are putting the truth out there. And we have activists. We have people that are really trying to do the right thing to not only fight against what we don't want, but create the systems that we do want. Mm-hmm. And then I look and I see that the homeschoolers and the homesteaders and the preppers have been decades ahead of a lot of us, because they kind of saw this stuff coming years ago and said, I want nothing to do with this. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to live my life. I'm going to grow my own food. I'm going to educate my kids myself. I'm going to opt out of the system. But I think that a lot of those people are starting to wake up and realize that with the surveillance state that they're putting into place, nobody's going to be able to just move out to the country, grow their own food, and be left alone. It's just, you guys, they're not going to do that. They're not going to leave us alone. The only way that we can get, whoa, sorry. I must mention that 16-year-old bounces off the walls around here. I mean, quite literally bounces off the walls. The whole house just shook, and it was something that he was doing in his room. What was I saying? What was I just saying? I was saying, they're not going to leave us alone.
No, they're not.
So I think people in that realm, while they've been ahead of the game and sort of realizing, oops, I don't want anything to do with that, I'm going to go over here and do my own thing, maybe need to wake up, maybe need to pay attention to the medical tyranny, to the systems of surveillance that they're trying to put into place. We bought like 2.5 acres up in the North Georgia countryside with the intent to create a homestead. And I was really sad to find out that almost all of the neighbors around me up there had succumbed to the propaganda and taken part in the experiment. It just made me sad. And they are targeting rural areas. People need to really become aware of what is coming down the pipe. So I thought, we need to get all these people together. Like, we need to cross-pollinate. We need the homeschoolers, the homesteaders, the preppers to come together with the good scientists, the good doctors, the natural healers, the activists, the journalists. And we need to start creating some system of like creating, and I'm not pretending to be like the one with all the answers to create this idea. What I'm seeing is that there's little parts of the system already being built. Like there's parts of the parallel society being built, but we need to connect those. They're like kind of being done in bubbles, right? We need to connect the bubbles. We need to
Yes.
create communities so that we can grow our own food, educate our own kids, have our own doctors, our own healers, have our own media. I mean, we're trying to cover everything with Next Steps, everything from travel to the music and the arts. I mean, networking, every aspect. Obviously, it would take more than 3.5 days to do
Right.
every. That's why people must understand that these are kind of it's a they're kind of truncated messages because we have so many speakers that each person's message kind of gets boiled down to gold, and you're going to come away with so many answers and so many different ideas about what you can do, not just filled with anxiety because now you know more about the problem. I mean, we've all been to enough of those kind of conferences where we hear all about the problem. Let's get to the solution. Let's get working on the solution, which is, how are we going to create these communities to support each other? So, and I love what you're doing, Tag, with the freesteading.com. This is very synergistic. And everybody that's on freesteading.com, really, you guys, you need to be at Next Steps. You need to come in person. And I know it's a sacrifice to take time off of whatever it is you're doing, but we're trying to save the world here. I feel like the thing that's driving me, and it is, I believe, divinely inspired, but the thing that's driving me is that I feel like Tag, if we don't do this, I don't know if humanity will make it. I mean, it has gone to critical mass right now.
Yeah, well, I think I would argue that if we don't get involved and do something about it, the reality that's left over, none of us will want to live in.
That's right.
And my great grandfather fought in World War I, and my grandfather fought in World War II, and my father fought in Vietnam, and I served, and then my son served, and for what? And if we don't stand up and say, hey, enough, I think we're going to be in big trouble. And I think the other thing that I would tell everybody out there is that, and Tia, I cannot salute you enough for making an effort to put all the bubbles together, because it's funny how we all live in these bubbles. I mean, I've been fighting the live free and starve the beast economically fight for a long, long time, but I've taken no fight to the medical world. I've taken no fight to the education system, minor. But to bring all of these people who do this, I think all together gives us a chance to sit down and create real solutions. And that's something I really attracted me to your convention, is it's a bunch of workshops. It's not, it's not just a bunch of booths, right? I mean, there's more to it than that. And although I'm excited about sharing with your audience, and I'm excited about speaking and all of those things, I'm equally, if not more, excited about learning from all the other people personally, right? To what can I take back to my community that will make us a little bit freer?
That's it.
Right. And by you guys coming down to this conference, it really gives you a seat at the table. It gives you a seat at the table of those discussions. Man, how powerful is that?
Absolutely.
Man, I just can't even tell you how cool that is for me. I'm super. There's people on your list who I don't know, who I'm super looking forward to getting to know.
Yeah,
because they're too just a different fight. So I couldn't agree more that bringing it all together, I think, is a big deal. There were some really cool comments up here. If you don't mind, I'm going to go back and I want to quote a couple of them, because I just thought they were really, really cool. Oh my gosh, I got to go way back up there. Okay. Okay, so Junk and Jody says, just retired in 2020 after 30 years from pediatrics and OB. Please listen to what this young lady is saying. So what do you say to those people like Jody who spent 30 years fighting the fight? And there's some other ones down in here who worked in, Horse Range Mountain Farm talks about they retired in 2021 after 23 years. What do you say to them, to those people who have thrown their hands in the air and said, man, I can't do this anymore?
Well,
it's hard.
There's a lot of things there. One of them is that if we don't lead the next generation, many of whom are exceptionally lost right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but we've got to, we have to teach these young people how to live, in a way that, we have all this technology right now, but people have gotten so self-absorbed and so inwardly, I mean, that's really autism is about looking at your like inwardly, right? It's like self-fixated, and that is a good analogy for the world today. If you look around the younger generation, they're very lost, and they're very disconnected, and we have got to make sure that we are teaching these younger generation like the right way to live. We almost have to go back to the old way of living, which is not very appealing to the younger generation. I don't think it's even appealing to, say, the boomers. I mean, you ask a boomer if they want to live without the luxuries of modern convenience, and they'll tell you no way. My grandmother was born in the 20s, and she used to say, I would never want to go back to living the way I did when she was living in Missouri in the Ozarks with a dirt floor. But with all the technology and all the modern convenience that we have, and we're becoming so disconnected from our communities that we're really, and this is by design, you guys. This is by design. First came the television sets, then came the computers, and then the handheld devices, and now everyone is behind a screen most of the time and not even interacting with their family members. So for those folks who have, and I'm not really sure if I understood the question, but you're saying, you retired and you kind of gone to your homestead life, and you don't really see the importance of getting out into the community and connecting with other people and getting back into the fight.
No, more about, okay, so you've spent 23 years, you spent 30 years fighting the fight. And now you've gotten out of it because you can't put up with it anymore. What do they do? I mean, I think my answer to him was get back in the fight. Come help me fight.
Actually, I think that's a really good point, because what we're doing with Next Steps speaks directly to that. I've been in the fight for a long time. Ever since my son was injured, I've been fighting. I have I've led groups of activists to the CDC, to the ACIP meetings, to speak to these people that are making these decisions in person, in public, on public comments. I mean, I've been fighting for a long time, and what I've really recognized is that as long as we're fighting it, as long as we're giving all of our attention to trying to fight it, we will never succeed. Okay? We will never succeed, because what you resist persists. What you put your focus, your energy, your attention on, that is, the Bible talks about that you can have the desires of your heart if you believe and desire enough, right? And there's some people call it the law of attraction, but whatever you focus on is what you get more of, right? So even if you think you're doing the noble thing by fighting, you are still engaging the beast, acknowledging the beast's presence and power over you, and exhausting yourself. And guess what? You're right. You're not going to win. You're not going to win that way. But if you shift your paradigm, if you're spending 80% of your time on the problem, focused on the problem, right? And only 20% of your energy and time left over for the solution, trying to find a solution after you've spent 80% of your energy and time on the problem, trying to figure out what the problem is, defining the problem, looking at the problem from different angles, talking to people about the problem, trying to figure out, who's causing the problem. Well, guess what? You are still going to get the problem, more of the problem, because that's what you're putting all of your time and your focus and your energy on. So you have to flip it and only spend 20% of the time on the problem. Identify the problem, define the problem, and then go to the solution. And you might not know what the solution is right away. That's why people quit, because they only have 20% of their energy left for the solution. And it's going to take more than 20% of your energy for the solution. It might take 30, 40, 50% of your energy just to get to the first idea of a solution, and that last 30 or 40 is getting this solution. But because you are focusing on it instead of the problem, you're that's what you're going to bring to you. And I want to take it even a little bit deeper, that when you change your focus to the solution and you open your heart up to the idea that there is a solution and you become part of the solution, then it will manifest. I've had this happen so many times in my personal life, and I've seen it happen many, many times that, just even going, you know what, there's got to be a solution. Let me figure out what it is. That opens the door. So, no, we don't want to spend all of our time fighting. Actually, what we
you kind of have to define that a little bit, because I think if you spend your time fighting according to the rules of their game, you'll never win.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a little bit semantics, right? Because if you spend, like for me, I spend my time fighting, how do I get 100% free? Build my own systems, complete my own systems. And maybe I'm just a soldier in me. I like the word fight, bring it on, tough guy, whatever. But
sure.
I think the bottom line to what you were saying was just simply that we're not going to win playing according to their rules. We're not going to win by being part of the system. We have to find the alternative system. We have to take our productivity somewhere else.
Right. Well, what I really mean is that when we start building the alternative, right, then it becomes a possibility. When it becomes a possibility, people will want to put their time, energy, what was it the revolutionary said, their treasure, their time, the talent, their treasure on the line, right? When they see that it's a possibility. Once you have people seeing that it's a possibility and being willing to give their time, talent, and treasure, then the ball starts rolling and it becomes not just a possibility, but a reality. And then once it becomes a reality, people see it, they recognize it, and the shift happens because it's like, you know what? I don't have to play along. So we don't even have to fight them with their rules. We don't have to come up with a different set of rules to fight them. Like literally, by creating the alternative, we remove their power completely. But it only happens when there's enough of us who are saying, I'm not going to play along with, I will not comply. If it's just a little ragtag group over here, a fringe minority, like they said about the truckers up in Canada, those dirty anti-vaxxers, those January 6th insurrectionists, as long as it's little pockets of like ragtag groups, then they can squash those, and they will, just to make an example, like they've done with so many that have tried to, get out on their own. It has to be enough of us. There has to be enough people saying, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to fly on an airline that has made their, 80% of their pilots take part in an experiment that puts my life at risk. There's another airline that didn't do that to their pilots. I'm going to go fly with them, no, I'm sorry. I don't want to go to your dirty hospital where you're going to put anybody that walks through the door on a respirator and kill them with remdesivir and say it was a COVID death. I'm going to go over here to this other healthcare center where they're actually saving people's lives. And you see, there has to be enough people because they're counting on our compliance. And we've been giving them, I mean, I'm not saying you and me, but I'm saying the large part of the population has absolutely given them power through compliance.
Yeah, I think we preach a lot on the channel about active, peaceful, civil disobedience, and about, that it's okay to say no, and it's okay to say, I shall not comply, and, whatever you got to do is what you got to do. But I think this is a really, really deep topic, and I want to let's get back to it. But real quick, I want to go through, because we were already 30 minutes in. I want to make sure we get through the days of what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
Because I just think it's that important. So why don't you take us through day one? What's day one look like for the next steps?
Okay, so we're starting off day one with Become a Citizen Journalist. Polly, Tommy, Stephanie Lucrecio, Riley Vojevic, and myself will be teaching anyone who's interested in becoming a journalist in the truth media how to start a blog, how to start a vlog, podcast, how to do live reporting from events, how to do commentary on current events, like news, current events, and how to conduct an effective and engaging interview.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone who goes to that, it's going to be interactive. So we're going to be teaching you not only about like the equipment and the platforms and the different technical things that you need to learn, but we'll be showing you how to do it. And everyone that goes to that will be given a press badge when we want them to cover the conference. So pretty exciting. It's being,
Yeah, that's neat.
So, and then we have a workshop on opt out of the technocratic state with Derek Bros, Zen Honeycutt, Susan Sweeten, and this some guy named Tag from Lifedunfreecom YouTube channel, talking about, like what is the central bank digital currency, health passports, digital IDs, the surveillance state and censorship, social credit scores. Zen is going to be talking about, now Zen, you may know from Moms Across America, was fighting Monsanto. She has a new project now called Neighborhood Food Network, getting people to grow food in their communities, so that you have like gardens instead of lawns in communities growing their own food. Then Susan Sweeten is going to be talking about Freedom Travel Alliance and the solutions she's bringing for the travel space. And Tag, you're going to be talking about what? What are you going to be talking about?
Yeah, so I'm just going to be talking about way more on a micro scale. A lot of these speakers like Derek Bros, who I've watched a lot of his stuff now, and really talk on a larger scale about creating the counter economies and those kind of things. I'm going to talk more about what you do locally. What do we do close in to create the counter economy and take the responsibility for your health back? And what are the actual actionable items that we can do that affects our individual lives? Because in my opinion, if you could get 10,000 small communities all network doing it together, I think we could make a big dent. And so I'm going to work on that kind of stuff. Not totally through it all yet, but you'd be certainly right in there.
Well, I hope that you're going to talk about freesteading, and
I am.
Because you come from the corporate finance world, right? And what you realized when you got out of that hey, if we don't connect these these homesteaders, these little family farms, these little smaller community farms, if we don't connect with each other and network to support each other, like we really have to. So you are, again, I'm identifying people who are bringing solutions, the little parts of the parallel society.
Yeah, I'm going to spend a fair amount of time on community. It's probably my proudest thing that I've ever done in my life. And I've accomplished some really cool stuff, but, putting the community together where, the vast majority of my commerce I can do inside my community. Can't do all of it yet. I'm not there yet, right? I haven't been able to totally exit, but we're getting, closer and closer and closer, down the road. By the way, Steve Hall says, do you still bank? Do you still pro permits and get business license? If so, you're still enabling the beast. And although I agree with what Steve's saying, it's a very hard system to break 100%. And I think what happens is people get paralyzed by the 100%. And what I would encourage everybody is get to 20. And then when you get to 20, get to 30. And when you get to 30, get to 40, instead of being, paralyzed by the 100.
Well, I did take my money and put it into a credit union. So I do still have an account with one of the big banks that I've had since 2010. It's good to have a banking history, even if it's small amounts in your bank account. So, I do keep very little money in that account, and most of it is in a credit union. We will have a couple of people at the conference that will be talking about PMAs, private membership associations, private ministerial associations. Some, unfortunately, we can't. I don't think we can completely disconnect ourselves from that's why I talk about it being a parallel society. Like we kind of got to go alongside the general society for a while until enough people transition over. They go, oh, hey, look, looks like they're having a better time over there. But right now we kind of still, we still exist within what is known as the United States of America. which was founded on a constitution with a Bill of Rights, which is supposed to protect our rights given by God to us. There's a lot of things that are good about that. There's a lot of things that are broken about what's going on in America, but we don't want to throw everything out, right? So we have to kind of figure out, like, how are we going to do this thing and stay, like, keep ourselves the way we want to live. But I mean, yeah, what can you do? I mean, there are those who say you should dispute or negate your birth certificate and join some like nationalist group. And I've had people come and speak about those things, and I find it very interesting. I don't know enough about it to like be a proponent for or against, but I think that these are the things that we're doing is trying to kind of figure out like what how we're going to build this world that we want to live in. But at least some of us are trying to figure out how to do it, right? Instead of just sitting around and going, oh, well, I guess I'll just, go to the gas station, fill my car up, go to work, get my paycheck, go to the grocery store, come home, turn on Netflix. They say I got to put a mask on, I'll put a mask on. They say I got to put something in my arm, I'll put it in my arm. That they're just going along. Hey, don't be one of those people is my best advice for you, because eventually, they will come for you too. They're coming for everybody. They want what they want. They do not want what, most good people want for themselves. The future plans they have for us are not good. But the Lord says he has plans to prosper you and to make you, so I'm going to go with that plan, not the one that they've got. God says he wants to prosper me and make my life beautiful. So I'm going with that. And the New World Order can KMA. Yeah. Is that how you say it? KMA.
Yeah, I follow you.
Yeah.
Tia, and I know you know this, when I had to make my change, it was scary. And, it was hard to totally try to walk away from it all, but I'm still not 100%, and I really like the way you said that earlier about parallel versus counter, right? Because most people talk about the counter economies, and I'm guilty of this, right? Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is it's pretty hard to turn a light switch on and be totally out. Right. Pretty hard. Now, some people can do that. I could not do that. But, when I started this journey, according to my own measurements, I was about 30% free when I started all this. And I'm pressing the 80s now. And I'm not there yet, but I'm getting closer every day, But mm-hmm. It's incredibly hard, to have courage to do that. But I think that's another great thing about conventions like what you're doing is it brings mm-hmm. us all together and we're not all alone. And I really like that a lot. Good.
So continuing on Wednesday night, after opt out of the technocratic state, we have a film screen of a movie called Medicating Normal, which is about the pharmaceutical drugs for psychiatric disorders. So your antidepressants, your ADHD medications, stuff like that. And we have the filmmaker and one of the ladies that's in the film. Her name is Angie Peacock. She's a combat veteran. She struggled with the medications that were prescribed to her after coming back from combat. And Dr. Krishna Danaparty will be on the Q&A panel along with the co-director Wendy Ratcliffe and Angie Peacock, director and co-producer Wendy Ratcliffe. So that's Wednesday night. And then on Thursday, day 2, we start off with homesteading. Louise Milliman, Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee, and Bobby and Sherry Black from Black's Homestead, Black's Tropical Homestead. Black's Tropical Homestead will be there, talking about everything from going off grid to country living to self-sustainability in the suburbs, to growing food in the cities, the neighborhood community gardens, all of that stuff. And then we have a homeschooling workshop with Matt Beaudreau, Darlene de la Plata, and Brooke Crook. Brooke will be talking about private ministerial associations for education. And this workshop will cover everything from homeschooling, unschooling, student-led learning, micro schools, community schools, co-ops, things like that. Lots of solutions. It doesn't necessarily have to be you sitting at the kitchen table with your kid trying to teach them math and English. There's lots of other options. Like my son does cyber school. He's been with Georgia Cyber Academy for this is his 12th year. So he did 2 years of kindergarten. He's a 10th grader in high school, and he loves it, and while it is part of the public school system, I can still monitor everything that's going on with his classes. So there's a lot of different options. You do not have to send your kid to the state-sponsored indoctrination camps, which they call public schools, from which your child may return to you unrecognizable. Okay. Then we have home and self-defense with John Lovell from Warrior Poet Society, Patrick Collis, Preston Hawker, Jesus Flores, and K9 Kaiba from Spartan Investigations and Executive Protection. They're amazing. They'll be talking about home and self-defense, so everything from mental preparedness to how to defend yourself and your family, to defending your property and your home, to having animals for protection. And then Thursday night, we have networking nights. We're going to have a couple of, Derek Rose is going to sing a couple of songs. My friend Noko is going to perform a few songs. And then we're going to have kind of a guided activity where we're going to be brainstorming about co-creating the world that we want to live in. It's going to be really fun. That's Thursday night. Can I take a breath?
Yeah.
So let's talk about day 2. That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff going on there. We're going to have a seat swap too.
Yeah. I'm super excited about the networking event, by the way.
Yeah. It's going to be fun.
When the last speaking event that I did, and I don't know, this year I'll probably do 7 or 8. I always come away with a new friend. Somebody that I just chit chat with. Like there's several of them now. I think 4 of them from the last one that I talk to on a weekly basis now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're going to make great connections at this. That's what it's about. Everyone that's coming, this might not be the hugest crowd, but it's going to be a crowd of absolutely dedicated people that are solutions oriented. And we're going to be, listen, the elites are having their plans. They're they're going to Davos and their private jets, and, nobody's complaining about the, airfare and the hotel and the dinner bills. Trust me, you guys. Come on, we have to kind of raise the level here a little bit. I talked about earlier how it might be a little bit of a sacrifice. Yes, you may have to find someone to take care of your animals or your kids. So you might have to take a couple of days off job if you're still doing the 9 to 5 kind of thing. And it's a Wednesday. It's starting on a Wednesday and ending on a Saturday. And so it's going to require that, you're going to have to maybe move some things around in your life to make it happen. But we are trying to save the world. I mean, I don't want to sound grandiose. I don't have delusions of grandeur here, but I mean, somehow, some way we have got to start trying to figure out how we're going to survive what they have planned for us. And my point being is these folks that are going to Davos for the WEF, World Economic Forum, they're meeting in person and they're making their plans. And we have to take it that seriously, because if we aren't making our own plans, if we are not coming together to figure out how we're going to survive this thing, it's coming. It's coming to wherever you're at. You may think that you have got a spot where you're safe. You have enough food, you have enough whatever to get by. But what kind of, world will you be getting by in if we don't? We got to kind of put the brakes on this plan that they have. And the only way to do that is for enough of us to stand up. So, but anyway, we're going to have a great group of people that are solutions oriented that are coming because they really want to see a change in the world, So.
Yeah. I think that, you talked about, saving the world, but I really think that the saving the world begins with a whole bunch of little steps.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if we can come out of this convention with 10 sets of people that then disperse to 10 different areas of the United States of America, and all 10 of us can network and put these things in works, the next one's 20 and the next one's 50. And so I think it does start small. So, I applaud you for taking that big, gigantic step and helping lead the greater reset.
We're just trying to bring people together from all these different areas where there's solutions that are in the works so that we can cross-pollinate, so that we can create these, communities where we can support each other. So let's talk about Friday.
Deal.
On Friday, we have Healing Yourself Naturally. So I have Robert Scott Bell, who's a homeopath. He has the have you watched the Robert Scott Bell show yet? You need to check it out. Oh man, you got to go check out the Robert Scott Bell show. He's amazing, rocking the free world. The power to heal is yours. He is a homeopath. And then we have Eric Plasker from 100 Year Lifestyle. He's my chiropractor. He's amazing. And then we have Bill Schindler from Hyperbaric PHP, going to talk about the vital role of oxygen in the body. And then we have Hava Levy, who is a natural healer that's going to talk about food as medicine and herbs as medicine. Yep. And then we have Julie Wentz, who is going to share briefly about a healthcare system that she's putting together to connect people with natural healers. Then we have the new science paradigm, which is Dr. James Lyons Weiler, who started the IPAC, Institute for Pure and Applied Knowledge, to do the real science that I was talking about. And he now has a new initiative, which is IPAC EDU, where he is teaching people how to read and understand science and basic science courses. And he's going to be giving a presentation by Dr. Sin-Heng Lee, and then Dr. Brian Hooker, who is he's the guy that the whistleblower at the CDC called up and started confessing to when he got a crisis of conscience over the 2004 study looking at the MMR vaccine. They were looking to see if you got, they had a group of kids that got it when the CDC says you should get it, which is 12 to 18 months versus kids who got it after they were 3 years old. And they were looking to see if there was a difference in the autism rates. And they found there was an increased risk. And so they covered it up. And Dr. William Thompson was the lead scientist on that. And one day in 2015, he started calling Dr. Brian Hooker and was like, I'm sorry, I can't believe what we did, Dr. Brian Hooker is a scientist. He has a son with autism, and he had been for years trying to get information about mercury in the childhood vaccines from the CDC. Well, Dr. Brian Hooker has done the study that the CDC has refused to do, which is looking at kids that got them versus kids that didn't get them. This is the gold standard of scientific inquiry is you take one group that gets the drug and you have a group that does not get the drug, and you compare them. CDC doesn't do that, and that's not done in vaccine science. They don't compare to a placebo group. So Dr. Brian Hooker has done that study. I don't even want to say the words because I feel like we're going to get, YouTube is going to be like, oh, it's medical misinformation. No, I'm actually quoting real science here. Okay. But he's done that study. So we've got scientists that are actually trying to do real science. And then we have the new medicine paradigm. Here's another name that'll probably get us dinged. Dr. Peter McCullough, Dr. Pierre Corey, Dr. Krishna Danaparty, Dr. Cami Benton, and Kimberly Overton will be rounding out the end of the conference with the new medical paradigm, really talking about how the doctors are trying to create these systems, like I said, and it's going to take the few brave ones to start for the others to go, you know what? I can do that too, right? It's leading by example. That's what every single person at Next Steps is about, leading by example. So that's exciting. And then on Friday night, we have Jim Gale. Food Forest Abundance is the speaker at the VIP dinner. We have, and I don't know if you said you've checked out some of Jim Gale's stuff. Oh yeah, he's amazing. So you're talking about, permaculture and food forests and educating kids how to grow food for themselves, for their communities. And then also we have a musical performer. Have you been turned on to Five Times August yet? Have you checked out
No.
his music? Oh my God, you guys have got to check out Five Times August. You know, I don't know about you, Tag, but you remember back in the 60s, they had these protest songs, and everybody really wanted to believe like that these guys were legit, right? And where are all these guys now, right? They've all gone woke. Every
Yeah.
single one of them. They've all gone woke, right?
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine, you got to get the, passport to get in to see it. What
Yeah.
is going on, right?
Yeah.
So Five Times August is doing the protest songs for this generation. And I'm telling you, it's gold. Just go check him out on YouTube. Start with the song God Help Us All. Oh, God Help Us All. I'm telling you, just his whole album, Silent War, amazing. You're going to love it. He's got a song called Sad Little Man, which is about Anthony Fauci. It's a crack up. Just go check him out. He's going to be performing at the VIP dinner. And then Saturday, for those that want to stick around, we're going to have an outdoor prayer and meditation. And then we're going to do a little walk around the island. We're going to have a break for snacks. And then we're going to take a more advanced walk for those that some people may not want to do the more advanced hike, but we're going to have that as an option. We're going to get back in touch with nature. We're going to go back out into the world with a fresh, being spiritually centered and connected back to nature. And we have a forager, um, a local gal named Anne Marie Bilella is going to talk to us about foraging for food and medicine. Now, we won't be able to forage on the island. It'll be the end of February, so there wouldn't be much growing anyway. And you never want to forage somewhere where they probably treat the grounds with some kind of, if you don't know whether or not they're spraying, do not forage, and don't forage if you don't know what you're foraging for. But she'll be giving us some information and some handouts about that. So it's going to be great. And the resort where we're having this, it's beautiful. It's a gorgeous place. It's islands on Lake Lanier, which is just north of Atlanta. They have a golf course. They have a marina. You can rent a boat. They have Snow Island will still be happening. It's the last week of Snow Island. They have a snow machine and a kind of a sledding hill so the kids can play in the snow. They have Margaritaville, which is a little beach area with some bars. They've got a Game Changers, like arcades. So there's lots of things the kids can do. There's a spa. You could really look at this like a family vacation. Bring your family. Think of it like a retreat. You just come, have a good time, enjoy the islands, and enjoy the, getting together with other freedom-minded people.
Yeah, it seems like there's some people in the audience who's aware of the band, which that was pretty cool. Philippine Nomad, which is someone I talk to all the time, says 5 Times August is the man.
He is the man, Brad.
Yeah, which is really, really cool. Also, there's a guy in here named Steve Hall who, is really talking a lot about getting out of the banking system. And hey, Steve, message to you, man. Hey, contact me. Tag and be at lifedunfree.com. I'd love to talk more about that. So kind of back to, what we were talking about before, one of the people I want to meet real bad is Derek Bros. Because you and I have been on this same parallel path, and it's never crossed. And so I'm really looking, he runs, for those of you guys who don't know, he runs the Conscious Resistance, and he's also one of the founders to Freedom Cells.
That's right. Yeah.
Right, which is another website out there that helps people, kind of connect up. And so I'm super looking forward to being able to spend a little bit of time with him anyway.
Yeah, he's great.
I
just recorded an episode with him earlier today. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Junkin Jody says she told her husband one time that she wanted a hyperbaric chamber for Christmas, and you were just talking about that when you and I were talking the other day.
Yeah, I can get you one. You can get one through me. I work at a hyperbaric clinic here in Georgia called Hyperbaric PHP. You can go to hyperbaricphp.com. I built that website. I've been working with Bill Schindler for, almost, 18 and a half years now, almost 19 years. And we sell the chambers, we rent the chambers. You can come to Georgia, you can try the chamber. You can come to Next Steps, you can try the chamber. They're great. As a matter of fact, I have the blur on my background, so I'd have to see if I can. Let's see. Well, let's try this. You see that over there against the wall? Right there? That blue thing? That's a hyperbaric chamber at my house here in Georgia.
Yeah, super, super cool. I didn't mean to derail, but I just reading one of the comments, kind of down in there. But
were you able to see that? Just
a little bit. It was pretty dark.
Yeah, it is kind of dark up here. Yeah. But I've got one.
Yeah, super cool. Well, guys, I'm super excited to go and speak, but more importantly, I'm super excited to have a voice at a table and to have conversations with many people who are smarter than me, and to help, guide us through this process, because I don't think anybody knows the way. I think it's something we all got to, discover together, and some of us are further along than others, et cetera, et cetera. But I really think that together we can make a big difference. And so I'm going for the together. That's the whole reason. So I'm pretty excited about that. Well, it's been about an hour, Tia, but before we go, I guess I'd like to ask anybody, and you got to put it in caps. Is there any last minute questions you guys would like to ask Tia about the event or what's, being accomplished? Because I'd be happy to share them. And then is there anything else, Tia, you'd like to tell everybody?
Well, you need to tell them about your discount code.
Yep. So if you go to the website to get tickets and you put in freesteading, it gives you a 10% off of your ticket price.
That's right. When you get to the checkout, you have to put freesteading.
Yep.
In the saves 10%.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm super excited about that. I would come either way, and like I said, I think it's all about community, and I can't wait to, meet some of these people and then really see how I can network beyond it. How all these communities working together, and that's really my my long-term passion in it. But because as Johnny said, division will never solve the problem.
That's right. We have to come together because there's power in numbers, and so until we connect and up our numbers, and there's enough of us, you guys. It's just that we're not connected. That's the thing. Is we're little pockets of resistance, and we have to find a way to connect our larger numbers together. That was one of the things that happened when the movie that I told you about, Vaxxed, came out. We had all these little pockets of families that had injured kids, and they all felt like they were that 1 in a million. They say it's 1 in a million, right? Well, I can tell you about how they get those numbers. It has to do with the number of reported injuries, the number of doses. It's the number of doses divided by the number of compensated claims in the vaccine court. Not the number of reported injuries, the number of compensated cases in the court. The numbers are much higher than that. But what happened was we had these little pockets of families that really just felt like they were alone. It's if you have a kid with special needs, and this, it shrinks your circle. Okay. People don't know what to do. Your friends that have neurotypical kids will fade away. They will fade away. And you feel so alone. And when that movie came out, what happened was people came out. They came out in the droves to see the movie, and they started to realize that how many other people there were that had the same thing in their family, and they realized they're not alone, which is very powerful. And so now we have to take it to the next level, where there are so many more of us than what they want us to think there is. And by coming together at things like Next Step, where we can connect in person and really feed off of each other's person to person energy, and then taking that into the communities and growing it. There needs to be a Next Steps every weekend somewhere in the United States. You guys, the time is short and limited. We've got to be this, take my idea, please steal my idea. please steal my idea and take it and do it in your area, because if we need every single person working on the solution. We need every single person working on the solution. That's how we get out of this thing.
Yeah, well, I think numbers matters, but I think what you said right there matters more, which is all of us are smarter than any one of us.
That's right.
And anybody who thinks they know the whole way don't. That'd be my first clue,
Right.
that you probably need to go in, in a different direction. But, I think coming together, I think getting at a table, having these discussions, and who knows what'll come out of it. I mean, I'm super excited to, to come back of it and be able to, to reflect out, to all of it. But,
Yep.
Anyway, I don't see any questions in there, but I did. One person was in there, was asking about a link to the website. I put a link to the website in the description below prior to this video.
I just put it in the chat a few minutes ago.
Okay.
So I'll do it again. It's next-steps.info. And you guys, I've tried to make it really user friendly, where you can find all the information out about everything that is going on at the event. Please, please explore the whole. I didn't make any pages just for the fun of it. Trust me, I built the website. If there's a page on the website, it's an important page. You should look at every single page. Okay.
Hey, Eagle Lover Texas, who is someone who I chit chat with all the time, said, will there be a recording of it if they can't get to the conference?
Well, here's the thing. A recording, if you were watching the recording at home, you would not get the hugs, you would not get the smiles, you would not get the selfies, you would not get the networking, the connecting, which is what we really, really want. I am going to be recording these, but I don't want you to use that as an excuse to not get here, because what I can capture on film is maybe, I don't know, 20, 30% of the actual energy. You're not going to get that. You'll get the information, but you won't get those conversations that you could have with that person that you met, that maybe isn't even on the lineup. It could be somebody that's vending, or it could be another attendee. Like you said, Tag, you go away with new friends. You're going to go away with like a whole bunch of action items that you could take, because each of the speakers is bringing next steps, action items, things. So be thinking about yours, Tag. Like, what are your 3 next steps going to be for the audience? But you're going to go away from it with phone numbers, with new friends, with new memories, with there's something that happens when you come together. You are not going to get from a video. You just won't get it from a video. Okay.
Yeah. Well, but thank you for the answer. That it will be recorded, but I agree. And I'd love to be able to sit down and hang out, when I was in Tennessee last, and I got to have breakfast with people that I met for the first time. And I got to, I'm talking about away from the event, right? And got to network, a whole bunch. So it was pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it. But anyway, guys, so guys, we've been at this for an hour, and Tia, you've been gracious. I know you are being pulled in 100 directions right now, but you've been gracious enough to give us your time and to let everybody, to just hear kind of what's coming. And I'm excited that you've offered me a seat at the table, and I hope everyone else takes you up on that offer as well. And I think together, we can all go live that life done free, right?
That's right. That's right. Yep. So I'll see you in Georgia. You guys, I want to see you there too. You behind the screen, you back there thinking, oh, I've got a comfortable life. I don't need to go to Georgia. Listen, you need to be there. If you're even thinking about coming, you need to be there. No excuses. We'll see you in Georgia next month.
I'll be there. We'll see everybody. And hey, everybody, thank you guys very much for coming tonight. Thank you for sitting here and listening to us. I appreciate it. You guys rock as always.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.